Hey viewers, my name's Cara. I'm your host for Tuesdays on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we're talking about yoga, sort of. This week's topic comes from Dilliya, one of our subs, and she wanted us to take a look at an article that was published online in June of 2013. I'm not looking at it right now because I'm not online, but I read it last night, and I originally recorded this video as I read it. It was my direct reactions because I thought that would be fun, but it was 24 minutes long and I didn't feel like editing it, so I'm doing this early Tuesday morning re-recording. So I'm not looking at the article currently, but the link will be in the description for you to read the article. Please do. I might put some snippets of my reading of it from last night in this video, so you'll be able to see that. There are links within the article itself, too, to other things, such as different things that people have said, previous instances of this kind of thing. But essentially the article is about a GOP candidate in Virginia saying that yoga is satanic. It talks about other instances of people saying that yoga is satanic or yoga is of the devil, and I will definitely put a few snips of my reactions to those quotes here. The purpose of such meditation is to empty oneself. Satan is happy to invade the empty vacuum of your soul and possess it. That's why people serve Satan without ever knowing it or deciding to. But no one can be a child of God without making a decision to surrender to him. Beware of systems of spirituality which tell you to empty yourself. You will end up filled with something you probably do not want. Okay, on the surface, that's probably not a bad argument, like when you think of it that way. But I actually, the company Yogi Tea? When I was a housekeeper at a medical facility, one of the patients had Yogi Tea, and that was the first time I ever noticed that on the tea bag, they have different little sayings, and I liked the one that she had out on her table so much that I took a picture of it, and I still have the picture on my phone to this day. It says, "Empty yourself and let the universe fill you." And I thought that that was just such an awesome thing. At the time when I read it, it made so much sense to me. Listen to what the universe has to say to me. So that's what emptying yourself means to me, is emptying yourself to let the universe fill you. But of course I don't believe in anything like Satan, so it wouldn't make, just because it makes sense to me that way doesn't mean that someone who steadfastly believes in a being like Satan would. That doesn't mean that he gets it the same way that I would, or that I get it the same way he gets it in his view. Yoga has become so normalized in American life. Really? Has it? R. Albert Mohler Jr., president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, sparked a passionate discussion on the topic of Christians and yoga in 2010 when he wrote in a book review, "To a remarkable degree, the growing acceptance of yoga points to the retreat of biblical Christianity in the culture. Yoga begins and ends with an understanding of the body, that is, to say the very least, at odds with the Christian understanding." I've got a whole other video to make on that kind of thing. "Christians are not called to empty the mind or to see the human body as a means of connecting to and coming to know the divine. Believers are called to meditate upon the Word of God, an external word that comes to us via divine revelation, not to meditate by means of incomprehensible syllables." Not every meditation uses incomprehensible syllables, just so you know. If you're someone who is not familiar with meditation and you haven't given it, that's not all it is. You don't even have to use syllables in yoga. Christians who practice yoga are embracing, or at minimum flirting with, a spiritual practice that threatens to transform their own spiritual lives into a post-Christian, spiritually polyglot reality. Polyglot. That's a gross word. Actually, I think I may have to argue that it's a pre-Christian spiritual reality. But putting that aside, again, it's an issue of, for me, knowing where these people are coming from, because I know that that's, as he said, it's just a complete difference in the way that things are taught. That prompted other pastors to come out against the ancient practice. "Should Christians stay away from yoga because of its demonic roots?" asked megachurch pastor Mark Driscoll of Mars Hill Church in Washington State. "Totally. Yoga is demonic. If you just sign up for a little yoga class, you're signing up for a little demon class." Oh, Pastor Mark. That reminds me of another thing that I posted on, I think I shared it to my Facebook page a while ago. It was a list of multiple things that people see as demonic or doors to Satanism or whatever. And yoga was on there, as was meditation, as were things like heavy metal and LSD and marijuana and the Twilight series. Anyway, the former Vatican chief exorcist agreed. Quote, practicing yoga is satanic. It leads to evil, just like reading Harry Potter. Harry Potter was on that list too, guys. See, I think they need to establish a difference between whether they think something is evil and whether they think something is satanic, because I think they're talking about, I think they mean to say that like practicing yoga is Satan-ish or something, because satanic is a specific thing, like Satanism is a specific thing. Yoga is not a satanic practice. They're saying that it has to do with the devil, but that's not the same as the actual religion of Satanism. Continuing, his objection, yoga derives from Hinduism, a heathen religion that says there is reincarnation. Gasp. Pope John Paul II warned against the dangers of yoga as a seduction of spiritual seekers that, quote, can degenerate into a cult of the body, end quote. The Pope's warning gets at an underlying tension in the way yoga is taught in the West. Either it's presented as an ancient spiritual practice conducted through the body, and as such one that can conflict with the religious tenets of other faiths, especially their fundamentalist strains, or it is assimilated into the competitive athletic cult of the body, shorn of its spiritual underpinnings and significance, and turned into something like Indian Pilates. Wow. Basically what I got out of the article, at the end of it, the article is talking about really this is a case of seeing how people react to having to live in a multicultural, diverse society when they are trying to cling to their own beliefs, and they're trying to, I shouldn't even say cling, trying to live their own path and respect their own monotheistic path while living in this diverse society. Now, some of us may have to chuckle at that even a little bit, because while we are a diverse society, I think, especially in the United States, a lot of us wish we could be a little bit more openly diverse even. I really had to think while reading this, like, well, okay, if you do see it from their point of view, this sort of makes sense. Now, personally, of course, I happen to be a pagan, and I happen to practice yoga a little bit. Not nearly as much as I should be, but I'm not that disciplined yet. So I clearly don't think that there's any link with Satan or demonic things, such as the one quote said, if you're signing up for a little yoga class, you're signing up for a little demon class. Like, no, of course I don't think that. I don't agree with that. Of course, I also don't believe in Satan, so there's that. But I can sort of see that if you did, how that would come out of it. And the other thing that I really kind of could not believe and then sort of came to appreciate from the article is that at the very bottom there is an update that says that that someone has developed a Christian alternative to yoga, and it's called Praise Moves. And at first I thought, I hope this is a joke, because it just sounded so funny, but I looked it up and sure enough it's a book from a website called Not of This World, which has a really kind of occult looking logo. The first product review is from someone named Adam. The first person is Adam. Was that planned? He gave it 5 stars, and he says, yes, an excellent idea. I tried yoga but was horrified by the heathen gestures and postures, and later to learn of the pagan origins of the practice. Can I look inside this book? Can I see what some of these poses are? That pose that she's doing on the cover of the book does not look unlike a yoga pose. What I took from that is that I'm extremely happy that people are able to take a practice that they're really interested in and adapt it to suit their own beliefs. Because if you want to do something that is from another culture and it is about different deities that you don't believe in, I believe that you absolutely should be able to tweak that and make it your own. I mean, that's what my path is about. But in the same way, when I do it, when you do it, when Praise Moves does it, I also believe that you shouldn't do it in the sense of claiming that it's a totally different thing. You know, Praise Moves is not yoga at all. There's nothing similar. It's a completely different thing. No, I mean, I can't see the other poses in the book, but from the pose on the cover being not that much different from a yoga pose. You know, it's like, what makes it heathen when someone else is doing it, but Christian when this person's doing it on the cover of this book, if it's the same exact pose? So I feel like we should be able to adapt and change things to the way that we can use it suitably for our practice, but I also think that there should also be a nod to the origin and a respect for the origin and where it came from. Even if you don't believe in it and you think it's demonic and whatever, I think it should still be acknowledged that this came from another form and we are taking it to a level that we can personally identify with. So the really difficult thing for me with articles like this is that, yes, I do laugh at the things that they say, and that's probably not okay because those people really do actually strongly believe those things. Do I think they're kind of silly? Of course, but other people think the things that I believe are kind of silly too, and I think that it's okay to laugh a little as long as we also have respect for that and have understanding for that. And the thing that I really have the problem with, though, is that when I am able to step back and say, okay, well, if that's what you believe, then that makes sense, but the rest of us don't believe that. The problem is my wishing that everyone did, and I have to remember that just as you don't think the same way I do, the rest of the world doesn't think the same way I do. And some people are going to think that we're demonic because we do yoga. I also want to do a video response to the Subs Week topic last week, which was about how, what do you say to people or how do you react when people find out you're pagan and then assume that you're also sexually promiscuous because of that. So I think I'll do that today, but it probably won't be posted at the same time because I have to go to work and then post this, so look out for that though. And if you haven't seen it yet, on my personal channel last week I uploaded an interview that I did with witchy writer Lenora Henson, author of the Wicked Garden series. I had to go get it. This is the first book in the series that I read in preparation for the interview. The interview is 35 minutes long, the video, but it's mostly audio. You can listen to it while you get ready in the morning, while you clean the house, whatever you want to do, because the only visuals in it are pictures. It's like pictures of this and pictures of things from her website that complement what we're talking about, and different little advertisements for the third book, which just came out, which is why we were doing the interview. So you don't necessarily have to be, you know, attached to the screen. You can just listen to it as well. But please do give that a listen. It was a lot of fun. Lenora and I have been talking about it for a while, and I am excited to introduce her to all of you and vice versa. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next week, and until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.